That an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made by Boston City TV, a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications, and is being broadcasted on Xfinity Channel 24, RCN Channel 13, and FiOS Channel 962. So I'm going to hand this off to Olivia to get us started with introductions.
Hi, my name is Olivia Richard, and I'm the chair of the advisory board. I am from Brighton, and let's start it off with Ducia.
Thank you very much. My name is Ducia Lubovskaya, or Ducia Alpha short. I am secretary, and I am from Mission Hill, so I live in Boston, and I live specifically in Mission Hill.
Sorry,
Thank you.
To cut you off. It's not being live streamed right now, so if we could just pause real quick.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, they can't hear us yet. She told them to pause real quick because we weren't live streaming, but we are now. We think we can have a way around it. We're going to have the other staff. We're going to have the other staff say the things that we need to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys okay with that?
Yeah, that's all we can do.
Okay, thank you.
But what do you want me to mean it's not live streaming?
I thought it wasn't, yeah.
If that's the case, you guys are good to go. You can continue.
Okay.
All right, so we'll be streaming and just pull everyone up on the screen. Just do maps, because 9 others.
Yep.
Olivia, you could go ahead.
Okay. Well, let's start. I am Olivia Richard. I'm the chair of the advisory board, and I am from Brighton. So let's start off with introductions. Ducia, you can start it.
Thank you very much, Olivia. So my name is Ducia Lubovskaya, or Ducia Alpha short, and I'm secretary, and I live in Boston, specifically in Mission Hill.
Okay. Jerry?
Hi, my name's Jerry Boyd, and I live in West Roxbury.
Carl?
My name is Carl Richardson, and I live in Brighton Center.
Andrea? Wesley?
Oh, okay, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm a board member. I'm speaking through a sign language interpreter. I live in the North End.
Awesome.
Oh,
Zari?
and also, my name is Wesley Ireland. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. Zari?
Hello, I'm Zari Amira Seni, and I live in Southport.
Yeah, that's what I was checking.
Paul?
Hi, I'm Paul Karen, advisory board member. I live in the West End, Beacon Hill area, and work up at the BPDA.
Nice. Elizabeth?
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Jean Clower, Vice Chair of the Advisory Board, and I live in Back Bay.
Alice?
I don't even want to say this earlier. I didn't know what it was.
She's muted.
Okay.
No, in Google Meet I can only mute. They have to unmute themselves.
Yeah. Let's move on to approval of the April and May minutes. Has everyone gotten a chance to look at those? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for April?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Zari, second?
I second. Jerry.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone object? Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion to approve the April minutes. Motion to approve the May minutes.
I move to approve the May minutes.
Awesome.
I second.
Okay, Kyle, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone, object? Okay, motion to approve the minutes has gone through, has been approved. Let's move on to the city department presentation from William Morales, BCYF. Floor is yours.
Yep. Good afternoon, all. Glad to be back here again, to be a part of with you, to participate with you. And especially now that we're moving to a new recovery phase in our city's history with this pandemic, and hopefully one that will move us back to that normal space that we once knew. And hopefully in the near future, we don't have to worry about the technology challenges that we felt with now, but hopefully we'll be able to come back together once again, be in each other's space and feel that sense of warmth that I think we've all missed out in the last 16 months of our lives, or 15 months of our lives, depending how you live this. And so I have to give a lot of kudos, especially to Commissioner McCosh, especially. We are part of the Health and Human Services Cabinet. And there was a lot of work and a lot of hours that we put in, making sure that the groups that we serve in the city of Boston got the attention that they deserved, and most importantly, that they got the services that they needed. Because at the end of the day, these were people who needed us pre-pandemic and who need us now more, especially now as we are moving into this new phase of our work. And so I'm glad to be here. And as we move now into this recovery phase, we are more than excited, especially across all our different sites, to begin to reopen our doors and begin to re-welcome back our constituents back into our spaces. As you know, this has been a very taxing year, and I know that my staff have all been eager to once again embrace and see those smiling faces of children. Last year we felt it really hard, especially when we had incredible programs like Camp Joy, that we couldn't serve that population. But to be back here again and now be able to serve that population again brings a sense of really that our city's health is coming back to where we would like to see it. Some of the programming that we are going to hopefully reintroduce back into our facilities in the upcoming months, especially now during the summer season, is that of course we're going to continue to work with our partners and especially our councils who are dedicated to our centers to reintroduce both licensed EEC programs along with summer camp programs. Unfortunately, we don't have the same volume of numbers that we've had in years past because, as you guys knew, the official kind of lifting the restriction dates was like a roller coaster ride, right? It was August 1st, it moved back to May, it kept going back and forth. So unfortunately, some of our partners couldn't get proper paperwork in as we would love to, but at the same time, we're going to use our municipality sort of status to continue to serve our families as we continue to move forward. We have gender-specific programs as well as we try to reconnect back with our young girls and especially try to make it a summer of their sort of being reintroduced back into our spaces, but mostly to be a summer of women empowerment for them, to make them understand that they're going to be supported, especially through their growth, and to continue to support them through a healthy continuum. One of the other programs that we love to do is our Super Teens program that we're glad that it's coming back. We just opened up the registration, I think, about last Thursday, and within 1 hour, 50% of that program was already kind of registered. I'm assuming already by now we're at 100% with that program. And if you know anything about that program is tailored especially to young people who are between the ages of 12 to 14 years of age. They are too cool for camp, right? But they're too young for summer jobs. And so they're this big gap population And if a lot of us knew what it was when we were 12, we were trying to figure out who we were and how we fit and how we were going to fit, around our peers. The fact that we were able to serve, I think, close to about 300 young people with this program, which pays them a stipend for a pre-employment kind of experience program that kind of gets them ready for work, but gets them geared up to really connect with adults and understand how they can use adults around them who are really caring and consistent to continue to be lifelong mentors for them throughout their life. It takes a village to raise a child, and the reason that's so important, because one day we're gonna ask this child to raise the village. And so it's important that the mentoring components continue to be a part of it. We're gonna hopefully continue to roll out our snapshot programs. It's a photography program for young people. Some who are many who've lived in the city of Boston, and sometimes don't even realize that Harvard University is right across the bridge on Mass Ave. And through the photography program, they get to explore their city with various themes, and they take pictures of those themes, and hopefully capture images of where they find joy, where they find love, where they find pockets of hope in their city, because sometimes we always assume that our young people are so not connected to the issues that are happening in our city. In reality, they are. They are the digital fish. They actually read more than we may think that they don't, but they do. They know what's happening and they want to be a part, but sometimes we just don't give them sort of the path to get there. So we have those programs happening. And one of the great things that's been happening too is that as we re-enter back into our spaces, our pools are going to be opening up again, a little bit modified with the hours. We are struggling along with other organizations in the shortage of lifeguards that we're experiencing. I think DCR is like 600 lifeguards short. Nationally, there's been a lot of lifeguard shortages. But in given it all, we've been able to make sure that we'll be able to open all our pools in a very equitable fashion to make sure that access is given to as many individuals and families that live in all the various communities of Boston to the best of our abilities, even given with the shortage. So we continue to push forward in everything that we do. And one of the exciting things that's happened this summer is that as we began to open our doors, we began to make sure that we reached out to our partners. So it was great that we can reach out to both Jim Weiss and Jim Farrow over at Boston Self-Help Center, and hopefully start seeing again wheelchair soccer happening in our spaces. But to think about what more can we be doing. One of the great things is that when I worked at Yes, I had a young man that I mentioned named Mike Arkin, and he works now for Partners for Youth with Disabilities. And so we're going to look at training opportunities in the near future for our staff to understand a little bit about how they can go through an inclusionary service training, but also to start thinking about curriculum audits, especially as we work with populations in our communities. And to also look at how we can do cross-programming among ourselves and look at our space can become even more accessible than they already are. We started during our strategic planning process about how we can become more for all, and that's what we're hoping to be doing. On the phone with me, or on this meeting with me, is Roberta Smalls, and she can give an update a little bit about Camp Joy and that program. Roberta, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being able to present my program. This year we were fortunate enough to be able to open Camp Joy. We're fully enrolled. Within a week or so, we were 50% enrolled, and now we're totally full. Our date was June 18th, but we were full before then. We will be at the Orenburg in West Roxbury. We have a few returnees and a lot of new participants, and we're really excited to be able to have our program available to our students that have disabilities as well as their siblings. And we provide door-to-door transportation, and we have a very small, our ratios are very small, and we also have nurses in attendance full-time with our participants. So we're really excited this year. We missed not having them last year, and we're looking forward to an exciting summer.
So I kept it a little bit short because I know we had delays with the technology. So we're willing to entertain any questions you may have, if you have any.
Jerry?
Yes, hi, thank you, Commissioner Morales, for joining us again. And, you know, I know the board echoes your excitement to see things opening up again, particularly for our younger population. When do you anticipate, are your community centers open now, or when do you anticipate most, if not all of them, to be open by?
No, majority of our community centers are open now. I think since the May 28th guideline that the mayor, Janie, put out. I think it was the day before the governor's lift on the May 29th. So we've been fully open. You know, it's a slow start, a ramping open, meaning that we're still working with schools that are still operating, because as you know, about 20 of our sites are school shared sites. So the school itself, we've been working with them, but we're operable now. And if you want, you can always visit us at BCYF Centers at the city's webpage and see what the menu of programs that we're offering. We still are offering, and one of the great things, at least that I could say, came out of COVID, and nothing really great came out, but one of the great practices, at least, that came in, is that we saw another way of interconnecting with our young people through using a virtual platform. And it's amazing some of the things that we've done. So we're trying to be creative on how do we keep that part of the programming kind of alive and well, especially if you know anything about us who work with young people. They end up going to college and we disconnect with them. And if one of the great things that's happened is, at least that through this platform, we're able to still stay and connect with those young people, realizing that those of us who went through college, sometimes we need our mentors to get us through college. Getting in is one thing, getting through is another. And we found that, at least through the virtual platform, that connectivity kind of helped us. So we're thinking about how do we build a little bit of making sure that we can still keep a balance of some of our programming to not only be in person, but part of it to also stay virtual.
Wesley?
Hello, thank you so much for your presentation, William, and Roberta as well. I have really a few questions, one on the pool situation, and the other question is about the camp. So I'll start with the pool. So can you explain a little bit about what the lifeguard shortage is, and will there be lap swimming open at the BCYF pool?
Okay.
Because, I mean, the reason I want to say that is I love going to BCYF pool, and I love lap swimming, so I was just very disappointed that last year that wasn't available to us. So is that something that is going to be reintroduced this year?
Yeah. Well, currently right now, we do have lap swims that happen on a pre-registration process, and part of that is that we're still trying to control who's in and who's out of our facilities for safe tactics, because even though our city has reached a very considerable number of individuals who've been vaccinated, we're still going to be living with a reality of what COVID is, and we're going to be living with COVID for a little while. And for tracking purposes, we have a pre-registration process that you can actually go onto our website, pre-register your time session, and be able to lap swim. One of the great things that is going to be open is at least all our pools will be operable. You know, we've changed a little bit of the days. I think we looked at data. It might be something like a Wednesday through Sunday usage of our pools, knowing that we saw that Monday and Tuesdays, a lot of people were just getting back into their work week. They weren't really into their swimming, but we saw a pickup more on the other days. We hope that as we continue to be aggressive with our recruitment of lifeguards, and we are going to look at, as we can increase that number, to increase the number of days that we're open. Because we want to get back our pools to be opening up between 6 to 7 days a week. But at least this year, there's going to be much more accessibility than just the 2 outdoor pools that we were able to offer last summer. This summer, we're hopefully going to be opening all the pools that we can, that will be available to us to open, and we're going to hopefully man them to at least have a 5-day schedule to do so.
Great.
Okay, great, thank you so much. I do have a second question as well, as I mentioned about the camp situation. So you mentioned the super teams. I don't remember exactly what that was, but
Sure.
Super Teen, right?
So Super Teens is not a traditional camp program. It's a program catered to pre-adolescent children, young people, who are shifting into that teenage year, who sometimes, a lot of them age out of camp programs because normally licensing may have them there till 12 to 13, but sometimes they find themselves being the sort of older, out of loop kid, you know, who's with a lot of younger children. So they don't, sometimes they don't feel like they feel comfortable in that environment. And so sometimes parents might opt, because of the cost of camp, to basically allow them to stay home versus paying that cost, because knowing that the kid is not going to have a really meaningful experience because they don't want to be there. So we've created this Super Teens program that hopefully addresses that gap. And normally there's, like I said, they've aged out of camp, but they're still too young for summer jobs because they're not of that 14.8 years of age that allows them to secure a summer job that allows them to work for 25 hours, which occupies their time. So this small group of preteens are sometimes left to themselves. And the one thing we don't want to do as they're trying to figure out who they are, we don't want them to figure that alone. We want them to figure it out with caring, consistent adults.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. I was just asking for clarification on the name of the camp, because my question is, how inclusive will that camp be, especially for teens who have disabilities? I'm thinking about some of those deaf kids who, you know, go to Horace Mann Deaf School, and how they might be able to access that camp. Will it be accessible in all modes?
I mean, if we find that there's a need, we will serve that need. You know, one of the things that happened, at least underneath my watch here, and I've been here 5 years, the Mayor's Youth Council at one time really didn't look at inclusion as part of its work. One of the great things that happened, we managed to get a Mayor's Youth Council young person voted onto the Youth Council who also was deaf. And the department itself covered all the interpreting costs that were associated in working in partnership also with the resources of the Boston Public Schools as well. So if we have any young person who wants to come and participate and be a part of the program, the one thing that at least, and Roberta can attest to this, we don't turn anyone away. I mean, either the inability to pay or their abilities or whatever, everyone's going to be a part of our family. That's why I'm really, really strong advocate of inclusionary in our work, not separating our young people from other young people, but from them learning from each other through experiences and building up the relationships that kind of hopefully will get them to be better advocates for all the people that are in their communities.
So the Super Teens program, which is 13, 14-year-olds, is to prepare them for their upcoming academic year as well as for pre-employment. So we don't refer to it as a camp because they don't want it implied that they're in camp. They're not in camp. It's a program. They do a lot of fun things this year. They'll be rowing. They learn a lot of new activities. They are working with the architect to design their own center. It's a lot of fun activities for their age. And they work along with each other. They do group activities. Some of the activities will also be online, but they'll be together as a group. Last year they did a scavenger hunt. They went and they visited all of the different communities and they took pictures. So it's a lot of different things that they do that's fun, but it's not considered camp activities. And they're learning a lot. They can use it towards their portfolio when they go to school. There's a lot of educational components to it that's a lot of fun. And so they feel like they're almost working, because they're considered employees to themselves and to others. They're not considered a camp, but it's a lot, it's so much fun. They enjoy it tremendously. The end of the year activity, they're sad when they have to say goodbye. So it's a really interesting program.
Hi, this is Kristen, just checking the sound.
That's fantastic. Are there any other questions or comments
Olivia, can you hear me?
from the board?
Olivia?
I'd like to add one other thing. We also have where families and people in the community can pre-register for our programs. There's a lot of summer activities on our website. So there's a lot of opportunities for young people to be involved in different things. They pre-register. The youth and their families can look at the different community centers and see what activities are being offered, and they can register for those activities. A lot of arts and crafts and gym activities and open gym and all types of clinics. So there are a lot of things, a lot of summer activities that we have available that we will be servicing a number of our youth that would not be able to go to camp, but there are a lot of other activities that they can be involved in.
I love it. There's no excuse for a Boston kid to be bored this summer.
No, there isn't. We try.
Thank you, Olivia. Yeah, here's Ducia. I cannot agree more with Olivia. I mean, I'm too old for this, but I'm envious of those kids. I'm just like, wow, that's just an amazing opportunity. I love it. I think I know some parents who have like kids who are 18, 19, 20 years old, around that age, and I'm definitely gonna let them know about this opportunity. This is just, wow, you rock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Olivia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to thank Will and Roberta for their presentation and say that to follow up on Wes's question about inclusion, that's what we hope that the board will do, is to spread the word, and we can certainly push these programs out from my office. And then that way, youth with disabilities will be encouraged to apply, and then we can work with Will moving forward on accommodations. But please spread the word and help youth with disabilities get involved in these wonderful programs.
Switch gears here, and let's hear the development presentation from Sarah Rodrigo, Arts and Culture.
Hi, thank you, Chair Richard. That's a tough act to follow. I also want to go to those camps. So thank you for inviting me here this evening to present to you. My name's Sarah Rodrigo, and I'm the Public Art Project Manager with the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. I have a slide deck that I'm going to try to start now. So bear with me. We'll see how well this works. Okay, can you see the screen?
Just a point of reference, if you could describe what's on the screen for those of us who are blind.
Absolutely. So what I'm showing is a slide that says, in the center, public art. There's a Boston City logo in the lower right-hand corner, and there are 8 different photographs of public artworks around the city, including images of a proposal by a New York artist, Hank Willows Thomas, for a bronze sculpture to go on the Boston Common that is it's a monumental bronze of 2 arms embracing, an electrical box painted with plants in different colors, a large-scale mural of a Black woman with flowers, a bronze chair that is a proposal for a library in JP. It's like a mesh lawn chair cast in bronze. 2 other bronze figurative pieces, one of a large naked man and one of Frederick Douglass, surrounded by 3 other figures, a suffragist, a young boy, and a soldier, and then a new media piece that is steel tubes coming out of the ground with purple LED lights in an urban setting. It's in front of the bowling building. So that's what we're looking at. And as I said, my name's Sarah Rodrigo, and I'm the Public Art Project Manager. I'm also joined here with my colleague, Tricia Gilrain, the Collections Manager. We work with different city partners on all of our projects, and we've been really lucky to have regular meetings with Patricia Mendez and Sarah Leung to review and improve proposals for public art all over the city. Our team, the Public Art Team, commissions, reviews, and cares for all public art for the city and holds monthly noticed public meetings at which all public art projects proposed for City of Boston property are reviewed, discussed, and deliberated on by the Boston Art Commission, which is a volunteer commission, and members of the public who can attend. My role is managing long-term public art projects commissioned by the city and facilitating projects proposed by communities. And I'm here tonight specifically to share a call to artists that our office released late last month, and to give you a little background on how our understanding of public art in Boston has been shifting in the last few years. In 2019, and I'll get to the image description in just a moment. In 2019, our office released the first call to artists in the Transformative Art Program. That year, we commissioned 7 projects, all of which may be considered traditional public art. That is, artworks that are in a specific place, even if only temporarily, and require viewers. They require viewing, for starters, and they also require participants and viewers to be in that place to fully experience the artwork. On this slide are images of 5 of those projects. Starting on the left side of the slide, there's a photograph of Montreal artist Brian Byung's mural, Tale of an Ancient Vase, located on Tyler Street in Chinatown. The mural is a large-scale image of a traditional blue and white patterned Chinese vase with 2 handles on a background of green and red patterns and abstracted images of figures, bamboo, and a broken dish. The next image to the right shows Breathe Life 2 by Rob Pro Black Gibbs, a local artist, located at Madison Park High School in Roxbury. The image shows Pro Black standing in front of his work, which is a large-scale portrait of a young black girl blowing bubbles, wearing a green, black, and white sleeveless dress with the word Roxbury across the chest and red wings on her white sneakers. She's skipping out of a keyhole frame containing an image of the galaxy, with the sun forming a halo around her head and shoulders. To the right are 3 images stacked vertically. The top image shows a close-up of Back to the Essence by Victor Marca 27 Quinones, located at Magazine Street in Boston. In the photograph, the section of the mural shown is a profile portrait of a young black woman with flowers over her ear and a brilliant amber-colored head wrap. A vector of blue crosses from her chin to the top right of the frame. To the left, there are glimpses of other brightly colored forms on a black background. The artist is in the middle of the image, standing on a ladder and painting fine contrasting lines across her cheekbone. Below that is a close-up of Augment by Nick Cave. And this project, which was commissioned by a local public art organization Now and There, also included an exhibition at the Boston Center for the Arts, where people could touch the inflatable artwork, and a parade that moved the artwork from the South End to Upham's Corner, which resulted in the short-term installation Upham's Corner that is pictured in this image. The image is showing that final phase. A stone or concrete bank building in a traditional architectural style is sited against the blue sky. The building is covered in brightly colored images of flowers, animals, patterns, and the upper story windows have brightly colored inflatables sticking out of them in various shapes, like cones or animal legs. There's some turkey feathers on the left. And the last image is a photograph of Cloud Lights by Newhouse, a sculpture collective. That was a short-term installation in Copley Square. The image shows a snowy ground at night with a large building in the background, the windows lit up. In the foreground are 2 semi-transparent glowing blue abstract forms. The left one has holes through it, and the right one has a single hole through it. And the forms are smooth and lit from within. And you can see some of the accessibility issues with public art and the fact that we use images to tell a lot of stories. So in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent stay-at-home orders provided an opportunity for us to commission new works under an expanded definition of public art, which Director Karen Goodfellow, Chief Cara Elliott Ortega, and the Boston Art Commission have been considering for some time. We saw feedback from colleagues asking how they defined public art, and these definitions confirmed our perception that public art is not specifically objects in a place, but, and I'm quoting, art made for the public, created through a public process, art made for a community or place, and any artwork that the public can engage with for free. By broadening our concept of public space, we created new opportunities for artists who do not create work in traditional artistic media, may not have access to equipment or the ability to paint large-scale murals or make physical sculptures, and from an audience perspective, artworks that do not require people to be in a specific place to experience them, which can sometimes lead to people with disabilities being excluded from those experiences. Visual art aside, even the Newhouse piece, the inflatables in Copley Square, someone may not have been able to access them given where they were sited. And I'm moving on to the next slide. So, on the left side of this text is our new definition of public art, what we included in the 2020 call. It says, public art at this time must take new and different forms. Through this call, we're seeking to expand the concept of public art by commissioning artworks that connect the people of Boston, even when access to public spaces and each other is difficult and uncertain. We're looking for artworks that respond to COVID-19 and provide creative approaches to public connections and community rituals at a time of disorientation and insecurity. We will support projects that are ready to be implemented now, as well as support the research and development of future projects. And on the right-hand side of this slide, there are images of 3 of the projects that were commissioned last year. The first is the Shelter in Place Gallery, curated by Eben Haynes, where artists exhibit miniature artworks online. The image on this screen shows what appears to be a large, relatively bare room with hardwood floors, 2 windows on the left, and a simple wooden table and chair, but the chair is being moved by a human hand, showing that it's only around 3 inches high. And in the center of the screen, there's text that says, first things first, it's little. Below that is a screenshot of a promotional video for artist Daniel Lamb's online comic project. The image shows a drawing of a sad person in a blue shirt with text to their left saying, injustice, no toilet paper, riots, school canceled, mortgage, bills. And they're wearing a t-shirt that says 2020. There's a window to their far left with a tree and the sun, but they are inside. And then to the right is an image from the Chinatown Story Cart project of the Chinatown Story kits, which were part of that project by Lily Shi and Crystal by Wegner. They're mail-in story kits that provided residents of all ages with creative tools to reflect on the present moment and dream about the future of Chinatown. So they mailed these booklets to people and then they would send them back in. The image has a pink background and shows a stack of paper booklets. The cover has a drawing of Chinatown and text that says Chinatown Story Cart, Story Kit, and hello in both English letters and Chinese characters. And below that is a link to our website for Boston Transformative Program. So thank you all for bearing with me. So this year, we continued with the Transformative Public Art Program under the umbrella of Mayor Janey's Joy Agenda. The call this year is divided into 3 opportunities. The first 2 for traditional murals, and I'll say more about that in a moment. And the third, opportunity 3, is called Your Joy, which continues the open-ended call for public art projects under that broader definition used in the 2020 call. Opportunity 3, and you can see the details on the right hand of the slide, is an image of the actual call itself, which is about 20 pages long. And I can just read that. It says, opportunity 3, your joy. For opportunity 3, you tell us what you'd like to create and where. Artworks developed as a part of this project should help make sense of Boston's spaces and relationships at this unique moment in time. We understand that proposals may be for new and non-traditional forms and invite original proposals ranging from traditional to new media. Proposals may include, but are not limited to, the following: new media, including web-based projects, online comics, and virtual reality; traditional media, including murals and short-term sculpture; installations or performances; community-engaged cultural practices; social practice, including events related to joy, grief, or other human experiences; and elements that specifically engage youth and or reach non-English speaking communities. Proposals may engage with one of the following: joy, renewal, celebration, and reconnecting with each other, our current sense of place and interrelatedness, ways for people to safely and comfortably connect under current conditions or reimagine public connections, community rituals at a time of disorientation, insecurity, and physical isolation, the variety of ways people continue to be impacted by the pandemic, racial and social justice movements, celebrating Boston's communities of color, and reimagining what's quote unquote normal. The budgets on this start at $1,000. They are not limited to $1,000. They start at $1,000, and we're hoping to encourage a broad range of projects at different budgets. Application deadline for this opportunity is Wednesday, June 30th at 5 p.m. And on the left hand of the slide is the cover of the Joy Agenda Call to Artists, which has a sort of a spray paint background and includes a Boston Art Commission logo, City of Boston logo, and the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture name. And the last thing I'll say is that I mentioned I would talk about being limited by funding sources. But first, I hope that you would all be willing to share this call with your networks and that we can receive more applications from artists with disabilities and more proposals for projects that continue to broaden our definition of public art and improve accessibility to beautiful, creative artworks of all kinds for all Bostonians. We are often limited by our funding to create works that are physical and in a physical space, which is why the first two opportunities are for traditional murals. But for those, we do seek out locations that are physically and visually accessible, and we welcome your feedback on how we can continue to improve accessibility to all artworks in our collection. We just extended the deadline for Opportunity 2, which is for community murals today, and that will be open until June 30th, so please let your networks know that as well. There's some really interesting opportunities in that group. So our hope is that through the transformative program, we can build on everyone's understanding of what constitutes not only public art, but the public itself, inclusive of everybody in Boston. And my last slide is just a few links. It says the text of the call to artists. There's a bit.ly link that I can put into the chat, a bit.ly link to the Submittable application. Submittable is the platform that we use. My email address, which I can also share with you all, and my phone number, and then our office's website, as well as a logo for the City of Boston and the Boston Art Commission. And I just want to say thank you again to Commissioner McCosh for inviting us, and to Chair Richard for extending this invitation to present, and to all the advisory board members for your time and attention. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so I can see you all again.
All right, thank you. Let's start with comments. I noticed that Jerry and Ducia have your hands up. Was that for this or left over from before? Okay, thank you. Any questions for Sarah on this? Any comments? I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people, for artists with disabilities. Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you for the presentation, and certainly this year has an uplifting message. If people are inquiring to us, what is the, I know that's the application deadline, but when is the decision? You know, what, can you talk us a little bit more through that part?
So the deadline is on June 30th, and we're hoping to notify artists within the month of July so that people can get to work this year. We really want to get these works out there and begin to spread a little joy as the summer progresses, and bring art back to people. I mean, we were lucky in that there was a lot of public art that people could go see during the pandemic. It was the only museum open was what was on the street, essentially. But still, a lot of artists haven't been able to work. And, you know, we want to get them back to doing what they love as soon as possible. So we're hoping for a very fast turnaround. The first opportunity closed already, and we are pairing artists with sites and city departments already. So we're really trying to move quickly on this and get artists back to work so that we can enjoy their work. It's very selfish, really.
To echo what Olivia had said, there's certainly also the inclusion of potentially including people with disabilities, or certainly art installations that some will be more accessible than others in whatever realm, sensory or physical space, etc.
Yeah, and thank you for your comment. And I have to give another shout out to Patricia and Sarah, who have been just an amazing resource for us and generous with their time in reviewing projects and helping us understand space. And I'll be back next month, hopefully, to present another project, a long-term work that's coming in to get some feedback from you, because it's so important. So.
Okay, Lucia?
Thank you, Olivia. Yes, thank you so much, Sarah. This is Jucia. I love your project. It's amazing. I know that there are many people with disabilities who have, like, there's different ways of expressing yourself. Like, you can do poetry, writing novels, like anything, or drawing a picture of it. And doing something with your hand, it's not just, I mean, for us, it's art. However, in many ways, it's also a way for them to say, this is how I feel. And just seeing this, like this artwork, and seeing, oh, this, even if you don't really, like sometimes even, like I used to go to art galleries and just looking at that, like a portrait, I could say, okay, this is what this person, this painter was thinking about, or feeling why they were doing this piece of art. And that's the same with this sculpture, is their way of expressing themselves and them sharing it with us, and you giving permission. I know that's the wrong word, but lack of a better word, giving permission for the world, for Boston to see this. Like, look at this, look at how this beautiful talent. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel incredibly lucky to be able to do this work and help artists, give them mostly just funding, you know, to do their work. That's mostly what they need. They can take care of the rest of it. They're ready to go. But thank you, Jucia. It's really, you spoke about that so. Sorry. It is very emotional, you know? Even when we just talk about it, I was on a mural panel last night, and just listening to artists talk, I could do that for hours. But sorry, I'm talking too much. So, were there any other questions? I can put the links in the chat too, so that you can all grab them more easily.
Please do. That would be extremely helpful.
This is Carl.
Go ahead, Carl.
So I'm also on the advisory board for Open Door Art, which is an organization that works. Well, they have a lot of programs, but they work with disabled artists, including in the Boston school system, K through 12, where they have teachers teach kids about art and disability. So I'm wondering if you've reached out to them to send them their materials. They could both send out your materials to disabled artists across the Commonwealth, as well as give you feedback on how to make artwork accessible, since that's what they do. And I'll be happy to send the information to Commissioner McCosh or Patricia to forward to you if you like.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. I'm embarrassed to say that I am not aware of them, so I don't know.
They were formerly Very Special Arts of Massachusetts. They had to change their name, but I'll be happy to. I'll send them an email and they can forward it to you.
That's great. Thank you so much. I just put my email in the chat as well, so that everybody has it. If you have other thoughts after the meeting, you can reach out to me directly. Although, of course,
Sarah,
Commissioner McCosh was wonderful. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
ask, have you reached out to a lot of organizations, and can we provide you with an email list to send this notice out to of disability organizations?
Please do. Our communications director has a pretty wide reach, but I think it's always helpful to have more, and I'm not sure entirely who's on all of her lists. So we have a lot of very arts-focused mailing lists, and I know that there are some arts-focused and disabilities-focused organizations that she does reach out to, and that we work in partnership with, but I'm sure that we could use more. That if you can give me a list, that would be amazing, and I can pass it along to Christina and make sure that she's sharing with those organizations as well.
Great, we'll do that, and thank you. This was a wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight, and I also want to add, I'm in North Brighton, so Brighton represent. Love having neighbors in the call. Thank you all.
All right. Last call. Is there any comments from the public or from... No? Okay. Well, thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to Lynn Dan and your presentation on Boston Tax Help. Is it? You're on mute.
Any other public presentations?
Okay, and now for me to be able to present has the screen come on?
We're going to share it, Lynn. We'll present.
Great. So, okay. Thank you. I'm Lynn. I am with Mimi Turchnitz. I'm the Disability Ambassador, and that's the Office of Financial Empowerment. And right now, my goal is to, next screen, please. Is as we are the office, you likely know about us. We've been before you for a couple of times over the last season, the tax season, about the exact circumstances about tax preparations. What's happening now, next please, is the American Rescue Plan. And the 1.9 trillion that you have gotten media about from the whole rescue of sorts. And what I'm gonna address today are the tax credits, meaning the money back in your pocket. The first is the stimulus payment. The stimulus, and it's known as economic impact or recovery rebate. I like to call it stimulus. And in this situation, it's signing up. If you haven't signed up, you should be signing up. Next screen, please. The second program is the Advanced Child Tax Credit. You qualify for Advanced Child Tax Credit payments if you have qualifying children. And coming soon is the new tax credit program, and you will be receiving checks, $300 for children under 6 and $250 for children 6 to 17. And it will begin July 15th and end in December. It's only going to be this year for now. The third the third presentation or information is the Child Dependent Care Credit. And this is an annual, and the earned income tax is annual. So both of those are next year, when you're filing for next year. The next screen, please. Stimulus, what is it? As I've just said, it's your free money, and money that you've likely already received, hopefully some in the past. Next screen, please. You are not taxed for this in the long run. And as you likely are familiar, the 3 different payments that have occurred. The first was last spring, $1,200 for adults and $500 per child. And then it was in the winter, and there was $600 per person. And now what happened in the winter, 2001, $1,400 per person. Have you received all 3 of these payments? If not, you must file a tax return, and you can do it by October 18th. And you can even do it if you don't have a Social Security number. You can apply for the ITIN when filing the taxes. The next, please. Even if you don't file taxes, we highly recommend, and it's a very important thing to go for filing for the stimulus. I've had people who I've known who've said, I don't file taxes, I'm not going to do it. You want to do it because that's how you're going to get the repayment. That money's been put aside for us in all of these different circumstances. If you have no low income, you haven't filed taxes. And the key is, especially if you have a child who may not be in the IRS records. Next, please. This third stimulus that's come out this spring or winter, the major changes is that any family member that has a Social Security number or a dependent, regardless of age, can qualify. It's very different from the first and second, and it was only one spouse was had. So you can get much more money. And then the second is how all dependents qualify, regardless of age. You can claim $1,400 for each child or independent or dependent adult, whereas the previous, it was only children under 17. Next page, please. One of the major issues is that community outreach that the IRS is actually making to the homeless. And even though they're homeless, they are still required to file for taxes, file the tax form. The big push that's going out within the communication is that you don't have to have a permanent address. A temporary address for the money to be sent to is the key. You don't have to have a bank account, but an EIF card, which would be provided. You don't have to have a job, and you don't have to have filed tax returns in the years. The whole idea is that if you haven't gotten money, it's time to be getting money, because that's what this whole program's all about. Next, please. The next program is the Advanced Child Tax Credit. And the question, how do you get it? How do you get the advance payments? If you are a tax filer, or you've received the stimulus, you're a non-filer for the stimulus, you don't need to file and do anything. If not either of those, even if you have not filed the taxes, you'll be receiving this payment. And I'll get to that next if you have not filed in a minute. a major question is if you don't want to be receiving this and you just want the money annually as you've always done, then you have to officially file what's called the non-filer portal that is coming out soon. The IRS is officially going to be setting out in the next couple of weeks information about it. But also, if you do not want to be receiving the money by monthly, then it's called what's an opt-out filer form. Next, please. What if I've not filed taxes? That's the point. You must file the IRS now to get this tax credit. It's the tax credit portal to be able to get this. The portal is considered simplified and will allow families to submit information in a cloud, people who don't have bank accounts and the homeless, as the whole IRS is really focusing out to try to get this accomplished. Next, please. The three main criteria that the portal will require are the basics that come with the taxes. Your income in the past, your tax ID, and your qualifying child. I highly recommend that there's a whole lot more information about this program. The IRS is providing an excellent Q&A list about this whole advanced child tax credit program. And this is the irs.gov /credits/deductions /child/tax/credit/payments in/2021 is the location. And it's in when you've got the information from the submission that is there for you to be downloading for this event. Next, please. The next program is the child care tax credit. And this is the one of the two that you would file next year when you file your taxes. You will be receiving, it's the traditional tax care, the child care tax for any child dependent can qualify, including the care at centers, family daycares, churches, providers. The exception is provided by a spouse or dependent of a child, the tax filer under 19. If a family receives free child care, such as care from a state subsidized program, that care cannot be used to qualify for credit. But generally the co-payments that families they are subsidized for are considered an eligible expense and can be considered within this tax credit. Next, please. Last is the earned income tax credit, and this is the source where you are we work and get and pay taxes. And the idea is that you file for the credit and get the money back that you've overpaid to a degree. And what's going on this year, the numbers that you see, the lowest amount is if you have no children, you can receive the earned income tax receipt is $538. One child, the receipt is $3,584. Two children, you will receive $5,920. And three or more children receive $6,660. Next page, please. What has changed is the tax credit increases, the range is from the non child is up $500 from that 534 that I just stated before. It is up to $1,500 that you made. And then, as I haven't put the specific numbers as I have on that previous page, but the maximum work for the family with 3 children is the $6,728, depending on the filing tax status. One of the very big issues that I am really amazed at is the age for individuals. For the 2020 tax filing year, the minimum of an age that you can file age to file for the earned income tax is 25, and it maximum is age 65. But what changes is that the minimum becomes age 19, and there is no maximum age limit. So you can continue to work after age 65 and file for earned income tax credits. The other major one is the investment income. 2020 or the most that you could invest and is $3,650. But 2021, the amount increases to $10,000. So you'd be able to invest income and not have that as a source of your final income amount that you have to report to the IRS. And it's a very great way for you to take your money and use it in a way that can be an increase for you. Next. What I suggest, because this has got so many questions and you may be asking questions of me afterwards, are these different ways to get the answers. The very first one is called Find Your Funds. www.findyourfunds.org. It's the new organization that's the direction and help to file taxes and receive all the credits that you're entitled to. This has been recently created and it's very well done. The Earned Income Outreach, it's www.eitcouttreach.org. eitcoutreach.org. And this is a website specifically for folks who work and filing for tax credits. And finally, the Financial Navigators, which you've likely heard about through Mimi and the Financial Empowerment Program. And this is the mistake here. It should be COVID-19, not COVID-10. This is the location within the city of Boston. The Financial Empowerment has the trained financial navigators to help you and help the solid financial footing that you may have questions about. And this is also in a variety of languages. Next. Finally, tax help, the outreach. The IRS is expecting us to notify the public about the stimulus and the advanced child tax credit programs. Outreach in your community and the message for folks to receive that they can receive the child tax credit now on a monthly basis rather than all of it next year is a really key message. And I can provide you information. I highly recommend that you go to those places that I just listed because they provide details beyond what I've just said. So that's my, I have questions. I'm definitely ready to answer, potentially.
Great. If someone could put the links in the chat, that would be helpful.
That's true.
We can do that.
Awesome.
Right. I stated them and to write them in, and I've been very fortunate for, oh, I know what else I wanted to say is that right now the Boston Tax Help Coalition, there is only three sources for getting your taxes, for tax assistance, and one is the Alston Brighton Child and Family Services. You can both drop off your taxes and file them virtually through them. And then it's the South End Street Cred at BMC, and they only do the virtual. Likely it's through the office that you can be receiving information about through the Tax Coalition, the office, the workforce that will be given their information on their website as to how things may be opening up when the IRS finally does get all this information out. I just was notified today. I made a call to the IRS staff person who's been giving us this information all the time, and he said that they have sent out the letters, the mail, to everyone, letting them know, all folks who are taxpayers, about this program. And I will send you, that tax, the IRS, that is there. I highly recommend that as the place to go for the answers to the to questions that you have about the child tax.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, it's detailed. There's a whole lot more details. Go for them.
Wesley, you had a question?
Yes, hello. Hi, thank you, Lynn, for your presentation. I have a couple of questions for you. I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but I'll ask them and you let me know. So, my wife, she my wife prepares the taxes for us, and so we had a child born last year, and right, so I think we can get a little help. So we'll fill it. That'll help fill all of the gaps. But I want to double check two things with you. The advanced child tax credit. Does that depend on your income?
Yes, it does. And it's just like the traditional maximum amount that you can, that you're getting the receipt of. I can't say the actual numbers because I don't have them with me, but you can go onto the form of the location, the IRS, and get those details for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then my second question is, and this is also my last question.
That's
so you
fine.
mentioned about the rollback of from last year of missing taxes. So October, I think you said. So
October 18th is going to be the final date to be able to submit your taxes At least that's what we've been notified. And that's what the tax program, I apologize if this pounding up on the top floor is bothering you. I just tried to send a message to my family up there. That's the place that you can find the real details. So that's the answer that I have to in that question, I think.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So that is all.
Great. Are there any other questions? Comments? Anything from the public? No? Okay. Thank you, Lynn.
Sure.
All right. Let's move on to the chair's report, which is me. There's a new, very cool way to get vaccinated. There's a partnership for us train fans between the MBTA commuter rail and CIC Health, which has been running the mass vaccination clinics at the Reggie Lewis Center and other locations throughout the city. They're going to be running a vaccination train that will stop at Mattapan in Boston. It's running from the 16th to the 20th. There will be one of those days that it stops in Mattapan, and you can get both the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and one of the, I think it's Pfizer. You can get one of the other 2-shot vaccines. Pfizer, yes, thank you. On a train. How cool is that? And you can bring your kid as long as they're 12 and up. If you don't have childcare, they allow you to bring your kids. If you need assistance, you can bring one person with you. Go to CIC Health's website. You can sign up for it, or you can just drop in on the day that it's there. There's, let's see, what else did I have? Oh, that was what I had, because I thought it was really, really cool, and quite frankly, a great way to get a vaccine that's accessible. I want to encourage folks, again, as we get out and about throughout the city, you may see things that need to be fixed, like sidewalks. I noticed downtown when I went to the Boston Common to go hang out that the brickwork at Tremont and Winter Street is torn up again. So I used the 311 app and reported it to the city. I have a ticket out for it, which is great. Hopefully it will be fixed. But I encourage folks, as you get out and about and you run into these kind of things around the city of Boston, that you report them. It's easy to do. You can use your mobile device, or you can call 311. I also encourage folks to take advantage of the fact that the parks are wide open now. Frog Pond's not open, but we can't have it all. And I mean, with get vaccinated and get out there and enjoy it. This is going to be a great summer. And with that, I turn it over to the commissioner.
Thank you, Olivia. Well, it's been a busy month, as everybody knows. We've had a lot of news lately, so I have a lot to report on, but I will try to keep it brief. So the state of emergency ended yesterday, and today the governor announced that he signed a law of extension of COVID-19 emergency orders. Those orders allow outdoor dining, they contain the eviction moratorium, and they also extend remote participation in meetings. So these are big things for the disability community because we know that these things have helped people in our community who are more affected than, by COVID than other groups may potentially be. So that's good news for us with remote meetings. I'm sorry I'm pausing a little. I'm hearing an echo, but are you hearing it on your end? Okay. Give us 1 minute. Nothing we can do. Is it too distracting?
No, it's not nearly as bad as it was at the start.
Okay, I'll keep this brief. Another update I have is on voting by mail. The lawmakers have allowed early voting. Lawmakers have proposed. Am I muted?
Can you hear us?
You're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. So another update is on voting by mail. The House last week passed a provision that would make voting by mail permanent in the state for general elections and municipal elections. So the Senate has not accepted it yet, but I know there's a lot of advocacy work around that, so stay tuned for more information. You may have seen in our newsletter this week that ADA Day has been scheduled. We're going to have it on Thursday, July 29th. It's going to be live at Copley Square Park and then also virtually online. We have more information to come, so stay tuned for that. Also internally, we're working on some pedestrian safety videos. We've talked a lot about the bike outreach plan, but we're also thinking of doing a series of videos in coordination with the Public Works Department. So we're thinking of doing them on floating bus stops, on the changing use of curbs, accessible parking, potentially snow shoveling. And I wanted to reach out to the board to see if you have any other ideas of things we could do videos on or outreach on that would improve pedestrian safety. Olivia, I noticed you noticed the brick downtown Boston, so if you want to think through this, just get back to me by email in the next few days, and we can think that through as we work with Public Works. Okay, just a few more updates. On the captions ordinance, we're still planning to announce that during ADA Day week, and hopefully the mayor will be announcing it. And we also have some grant money that we can put towards this program to raise awareness to members of the public and businesses. So that is still actively in progress. City Hall Plaza update. We met with the Chief of Operations today, the new chief, Dion Irish. He's new to that role, but he's been with the city for many years, so he knows the plaza very well, and he knows our office very well. He's really supportive of a written agreement, so I'm planning to draft that and present it to the board at the July meeting. And they also offered to do a site visit during the brick installation, so they can show you how it's going in. And then also, again, once the project is done, and then a year following installation to see how compliance has been maintained. Those are all my updates right now. I have a few things to raise in new business, but I would just like to say for all our presentations tonight, we really rely on you to help spread the word about these great programs. So please send it out to your email contacts, tweet it, Facebook it, social media it, and please spread the word to your neighbors and friends and help us get people with disabilities plugged into these programs. I'm happy to take questions.
Carl?
Yes, so Commissioner McCosh, given that the governor passed an extension of remote meetings, what do you foresee this commission doing? Will we continue to meet remotely for the foreseeable future, or do a hybrid, or in person? How do you foresee this commission continuing?
Yeah, so I was going to raise this in new business, but thanks for asking, Carl. So the governor's orders today about public meetings being virtual is extended through next April. So we will continue at this time to offer virtual meetings. I haven't gotten any guidance from the city yet, just because it's so new. It's just happening, so there's a lot of moving pieces. But for right now, we're planning to maintain the virtual component. On that note, the open meeting law does require a vote by the board to, Andrea, you looked this up a little bit. Can you explain it?
Yeah. So even pre-pandemic, as a disabilities commission, we have always had an option to do remote meetings if we want. There are two caveats. One is that the chair has to be present in person or a designee who runs the meeting. And the commission has to take a vote to authorize remote participation. We can do it to, you can do it, to authorize for one specific meeting or for all meetings in the future. So we have until April 1st to do everyone as a remote participation, but we can take a vote to extend that indefinitely, so we have the option.
Right, so if somebody wants to propose a motion to vote to hold to hold virtual meetings or allow remote participation for ongoing, for the future, feel free to do that.
I'd like to make a motion to hold all meetings virtually.
Anybody second?
Sorry, this is what I do want to clarify. Is this, Zara, your proposal, is this to hold all meetings virtually forever?
It's only an option. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, it's just to vote to have the option to participate virtually. We will go back to in-person meetings at some point, I'm sure.
So does it have to be all or none? I mean, can it be that we hold, for example, I'm just thinking in the winter, it's more difficult for some of us to travel. So I would appreciate having our meetings virtually when it's difficult to get out. In the summer, of course, it's easier. I don't mind coming in. But I also think that this format has made it more accessible to most of our members to participate each week, when in fact we have to deal with ride, transportation, work schedule. So that's why I'm proposing that we at least keep that option open. Maybe not all of the meetings, but if there's a way to work around that, so it's not all or none.
Yeah, great question and clarification on my end. So under open meeting law for other non-disability commission public meetings, anyone who participates remotely, for example, through a conference call, doesn't count towards a quorum. However, if you vote to authorize remote participation in future meetings, that would allow someone who opts to participate remotely to still count towards a quorum and for the meeting to still be held as a open public meeting under open meeting law. So it wouldn't require remote participation from anyone, but it would give the option for board members to call in or video in. Obviously, we still want to keep remote participation option for the public, as we always have through conference calls, et cetera.
Thank you. So that's the motion I'll make.
So
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Oh, sorry, just to say one other thing that, Zara, you said, is it like an all or none option? And basically, it's just giving everybody the option, and it's an individual decision each month. So if it's a time when you can come in, you can come in. If it's a time when you can't, you can call in or video in, whatever the options are. So there's no limit. This isn't limiting the commission to anything. It's giving you all more options. Carl?
Well, I think you just, I was going to make this a friendly amendment and say, let's just vote on this every month, depending on how we feel as the world changes. But it sounds like even if she votes on this, we can still go in at some point. Some people can stay home remotely. Is that right?
Yes.
That's exactly right. So if you vote on it now, it will just give everybody forever the option to call in when they choose to. But we will go back to in-person meetings.
Physically.
We'll still hold meetings, yes, and that's why I said at the beginning of this issue when it came up, the governor is allowing it through April. So through April, we have that option. That's not to say that City Hall isn't going to open until next April. We haven't gotten any guidance from the city yet when public meetings will be allowed to be held, but I'm sure the city wants to do it sooner rather than later. So I'm thinking that won't be until next April, but we can still have the option to have you call in or video in until next April. After that, it goes back to not being an option, unless you vote.
To authorize today, yeah.
Okay, I second Gary's motion.
Discussion?
Discussion. Elizabeth?
I'm definitely supportive of the option. I just say that I heard another professional group discussing this issue. It was not a disability group, but where faculty are located in different places. They were saying that we would want to have sophisticated enough technology to be able to have the meeting, like if it's going to have a Zoom option, that people can see the callers, the people who are remote, and with some ability to interface. So that's a down the road issue, and I don't know who would bear the expense, but it's more than even just a reasonable accommodation, because otherwise I think it is a very important option to it. And especially where they're projecting a heavy influenza regular flu season the following winter.
Yeah, I think that we've all learned from the pandemic the convenience of remote participation. So I know there's going to be a lot of discussion moving forward. It's just that it's so new right now. There are a lot of moving pieces. So nothing that is in place right now means it's going to be in place forever. But I know a lot of groups, and certainly the Disability Commission is pushing for permanent option to have remote participation.
Any other discussion? All right, let's hold a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right, the ayes have it. We retain our remote capabilities. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. And that's it for me. Any other questions?
This is Wesley. I just typed in the chat a suggestion related to the bike advertisements and the bike program. I'm wondering if we can put more signs near where the stop signs are, either at the stop sign or put some sort of signal at the traffic light so that it's easier for people to notice the information. I think that might help raise awareness of people.
Is that signs for bikes?
Yes, for bikers. So when they're stopping and waiting to cross the intersection.
Great, thank you for that suggestion. All right, in the interest of time, I think we can move on to Patricia. If she's
Let's
on.
have our architectural access update.
Patricia, did we see you come on earlier?
Yeah, this is Patricia. Good evening, everyone. My name is Patricia Mendez, and I'm the Director of Architectural Access for the Disabilities Commission for the City of Boston. I apologize that the camera is broken in my computer. I have a brief architectural access update. We have been monitoring the restaurants and the outdoor seating. We've been responding to complaints. We haven't received many complaints so far. Everybody is preparing to enjoy the summer, the warm weather. And we're excited to share that our Massachusetts Architectural Access Board variance regarding the use of the portable ramp has been extended until the end of December of 2021. So we're excited about that. We participated in meetings. One of them that it was very productive lately, it was a meeting with the Freedom Trail to discuss collaborations regarding addressing some lifting of some brick in the downtown area. And that led to communicating and getting looped in on to Boston Common project with Friends of the Common and Friends of the Garden. So we're very excited about that. We participated on the CODA monthly call, and I was happy to see Alice joining the call for this month. And as always, I'm happy to share the Zoom link if anybody from the board would like to join. It's on a Wednesday at noon. So please let me know. And that is the end of my report. Thank you very much.
And just to clarify, CODA is the Commission on Disability Alliance. It's the local disability commissions who meet once a month virtually. And we encourage everybody who's interested to join.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Great, let's move on to some old business. First, sorry, I just.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a list, but I do have a list myself. So the letter to Mayor Janey, welcoming her into her role as mayor, I sent a draft, well, it's the final draft. I know I sent out a lot of attachments, so I don't know if everybody got to read it, but I put in the priorities that that board members suggested, and then we had one or two from my office that I'm going to add, and I can put it on letterhead and send it to Olivia to send if everybody is in support of the final draft.
I suggest that we go ahead and do that. Send it to Olivia for her to send out.
Great, we will do that. And then I also included Carl's draft on the vaccination prioritization. And did anybody get to look at that? And do you want to discuss it for next steps?
Elizabeth?
Yes, I just thought, it substantively says what we wanted it to, but a couple of things. First, I think if it has more of a, rather than reading as a wall of text, I think if the points are bulleted, that would be helpful because we already know there's going to be, I guess my one concern with the tone, even though I know I had used the language of their tireless work, I guess now we would say a year and a half on the paper, or almost, rather than a year, but also there's just a few tweaks like that. I don't know if it would be easier for me to send them to you, which now we have every motivation to get this out the door ASAP, but there's just a few things that I think make it look like it's a little earlier into this rollout than it is. A number of the vaccine, the mass sites, have shut down or in the process of it. But what we do want to make sure gets their attention is that for things like the booster, that this is handled very differently, and things like the community mobilization. So I've learned that I'm much better as an editor than from scratch, but if the commission, if it's okay if I could just take a quick work on it, for we just have Thursday and Friday. If I could just try to, other than just wording in a few places that says things like vaccine distribution center, granted it's not saying mass vaccine, but that I think we want a model that when a booster is available, that people could be more flexibility, whether it's the mobile van or people going to the doctor's office, etc. That they be more primed for that. So that's my thought.
I think it's a great idea to add in the booster because that's going to be another shot that everybody has to get, and we'd hope the disability community would be prioritized. And then I do agree that bullets are easier to read than a lot of text, so I would be in support of that, but it's up to the board members.
Oh, I agree. That's the book temperature.
This is Carl. I have no issue with Elizabeth suggesting if she wants to take a crack at it.
And then I had one question. We moved on from Mayor Jamie's letter. I just had wondered that, given the magnitude, the two things. It looks like Commissioner. It looks like when it says other, would it be? Can we put in there about the city plaza? That even though it would go beyond, well beyond the time frame of the next mayoral, when the race happens and the outcome of the race, but just to set it down, not only that we did take a stand, particularly as a board, that you and your staff were involved at an earlier point, but that that is what we wanted done, but also, so if there are reasons to reference it, either for her office, beyond this interim, or no matter who is the mayor, that continues to be something that's written.
Yep, that's fine. I can add that.
All right. Let's move on to new business, considering we've got 6 minutes. Any new business? Commissioner?
No, I'm sorry. I was waiting for anyone else to raise some. I was just going to talk about the remote participation, but we already covered that.
Okay. All right. Any public participation? Any comments, queries, suggestions from the public? All right.
Do I get to make my usual motion now?
Hearing none, And given the opportunity, let's make a motion. Go ahead, Carl.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Jerry?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Hearing
Thank you all.
any
Thank you for your
Any
patience with
objections?
the technology.